Hello, everyone. I'm Rebecca Weber. This is your AMAC podcast, Better for America. And I always tell you, if you're not getting your political news from AMAC, then you won't be informed about American politics. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. And to all of our AMACers listening, thank you for tuning in. Now, today we have a fabulous show. We have with us one of the best athletes in America. Her name, Riley Gaines. Now, not only is she a winner by every possible measure, physical, emotional, academic, and personal, but she is the top female swimmer in America. And she tied with a biological male, the self-identified Lia Thomas, who usurped female status, claiming the right to take the national trophy away from a biological woman. Now, the NCAA made their transgender woke decision, allowing a biological male to walk off with a trophy that is rightly Riley's. Riley Gaines acts as 9-PAC co-chair, and this is an organization that fights for Title IX. In all events, Riley has decided to speak out, to take a gap year from college and speak truth to power. We are so delighted to have her here with us today. Riley Gaines, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Better for America.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You make me sound a lot cooler in your introduction, so thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, boy, I just feel so honored to be speaking with you today. You truly are a leader, from your candor, your grace under pressure, your strength as a winner, as a swimmer and a winner. And in doing my research, I've learned that you've been swimming since you were 3 years old. You've been a swimmer since such a little young age. So as someone who has really trained her whole life and now has felt the injustice of the woke world, how did you feel about the NCAA allowing a biological male to walk away with the female swimming title?
It's just this utter feeling of disheartenment. Like you said, it's been a lifelong journey for myself and every other athlete at that elite level. It's not something you can just jump into. This is something we've been doing for 20 years. And so to be there and have the NCAA choose a male over a woman at a women's meet, it's a slap in the face. Just the disrespect from an organization that you've dedicated your life to. It's incredibly disheartening.
It sure must be. I am really struck by your courage and your focus. Now, for 49 years, Title IX ensured that girls and women had equal access to opportunities through sports. And I have some statistics on Thomas as he performed in the men's division. So in 2019, he placed second in the 500-yard freestyle men's division with a time of 4 minutes and 18 seconds. Then in 2022, he set an Ivy League record with 4 minutes and 33 seconds in the women's division. So not even at his best, he was setting records in the women's division. I mean, the data is all out there. Women are just built differently than men, and I can't just work out and then grow to have a man's respiratory system or eat enough protein to gain a man's muscle mass. And if people don't begin to stand up right now and fight for these injustices, what will that mean for the future of Title IX? What do you see for the future?
I mean, I think a door has been opened by this situation. I think it's provided people with an opportunity, men who aren't the best in the men's category, to come in and win national titles on the women's side. And so I think this is a slippery slope for sure. And I think that's something we've seen over the past couple months. This is rampant. It's happening daily across all ages. It's happening just yesterday, and I believe it was mountain biking. There was a transgender athlete who placed first and stole prize money away from a female who dedicated their lives, essentially the same as I have, to their sport. So not only is it titles, females are missing out on other opportunities like scholarship and, like I said, prize money. And no female, no matter how many it is across the country, should have to compare themselves physically to a man.
I wonder why more women aren't, infuriated over this. I mean, and if I don't like what they've done to the word feminism, but you would think that those self-proclaimed feminists would be saying, wait a minute, we've got to do something to turn this back. This is why it's so important, Riley, that you're speaking out. And all of us here at AMAC, including our over 2 million AMAC members, we recognize you as the top female swimmer and the winner, the real winner. But in the wake of all the commotion in the NCAA in regards to Thomas, the governing body for competitive swimming in the United States issued a new policy regarding transgender athletes. Essentially, a 3-person panel is going to decide if biological males who want to compete as a female have an unfair advantage over cisgender females. For example, they're going to check testosterone levels on these biological men to decide whether prior physical development as a male will give an unfair advantage. What do you make of this governing body's new policy? And is that enough? 3 people making these decisions? I don't know.
It's not enough. I mean, if you look at this holistically, females, I think, make up 51% of the entire Earth's population. The transgender community might make up 0.5%. So we're catering half of the population of the world to not even a full percent of a different population. So in what way does that make sense? How do we value one person and their mental health and their safety and their privacy and their dignity over another groups, especially when the margin between those groups is so large? We're favoring a minority here, and I think a 3-panel group is not effective in speaking for 51% of the females on this earth.
It is so hard for me to really even understand that we're having this conversation. I mean, really, what we're talking about is men who want to compete in women's sports, and a big majority or a controlling majority of people that are saying, yeah, let them in. I mean, this just seems to me like I never thought that I'd have this conversation 20 years ago. So it really is just mind-boggling. Thomas not only got to go break these records in women's competitions, but he was also nominated for Woman of the Year. I mean, to me, this is a really disgusting glorification of what should be called cheating. But thank God for good people like you speaking out. You're a visionary, and you envisioned a law entitled Title XX, acknowledging that women have XX chromosomes. So your goal is to protect biological females in sports. What do you envision Title XX doing, and how would it protect women?
I think like you touched on earlier, really this whole feminist movement. A year ago even, I would have never considered myself a feminist. I have always think, obviously women deserve rights and are they should have that. But I am very dependent on my husband. I think that dependency is a great thing in relationships and things like that. So I've never considered myself a feminist, but we're kind of working to redefine what it is to be a modern day feminist. We're also using funds to endorse candidates who are willing to acknowledge that biological women deserve fair competition and spaces of privacy and changing where they don't have to worry about being exposed to men. We've been doing a lot of really, really awesome things, and we've made changes, which is ultimately, of course, the goal. So I'm thrilled with the direction that it's going, and I'm excited for the future.
Yes, and you've worked with groups like the Women's Independent Forum and politicians like Kristi Noem, Tulsi Gabbard. You've provided testimony for a bill passed by Rand Paul that was Title 83. Would you believe at the beginning of your college career that you would one day become a political advocate for women's sports? And have you ever had an interest in politics? Perhaps this could be a future path for you.
I've always been politically in tune. Growing up, we always had Fox News on the TV. And I've always kept up, but I by no means thought this was the direction my life was going to go. I was actually all set to go to dental school this year to pursue endodontics, actually. But in light of everything that's happened, I've kind of put that on the back burner. I've realized that, dental school will always be there. But the relevancy and importance of this issue and having this platform and honestly being not afraid to use it and speak my voice, that's not always going to be there. And so speaking out has thrown a wrench at my life's plans, but I've realized that if we as women are not willing to speak up for ourselves, how can we expect other people to do so? That would be wrong to do that. And so I'm willing to take a stand because I have seen the implications. And now being in this position, I realize the fight that women had to get Title IX 50 years ago. This is the 50th anniversary. And so just not that long ago, women were and still are an oppressed group. And I think people forget that. I think they think, transgenders are historically oppressed, but so are women. And we have fought to get here. And I'm realizing that. And it's not something I ever want to take for granted.
Yeah, well, we thank you so much for your courage. I do have one last question for you. For our listeners, for anybody out there who's experiencing some of what you've gone through, perhaps at their grandchild or son or daughter in high school or in college, they're dealing with similar issues. What words of advice might you give them when they're faced with this sort of unfair, unequal playing game that it does really feel like cheating? What would you want to say to those people listening?
I think initially before I spoke out, I was so worried about the backlash, and I was so worried that people would think I'm hateful or transphobic or whatever other term they would call me. And the media, they want you to think that. But since speaking out, oh my gosh, I have had so much support across the globe, not even just locally. This is something that people all across this world are thanking me for. And it's crazy that to even say that it requires courage to use your voice, but I'm acknowledging that it does. And so be brave, use your voice. This is something that needs to be handled with volume and quantity. And the more female athletes that are willing to use that voice, that's how this issue is going to stop. And have a change that needs to be made to ensure fairness and privacy to female athletes who deserve it.
Riley Gaines, thank you so much. I think in times like this, God really chooses the perfect people to combat the wicked. And in this case, it is you. Thank you so much for your time with us today. And God bless you, really. I wish you so much success. All of our members do as well. We wish you success from swimming to speaking truth in all that you dare to do. So thank you for your courage, for being here, for speaking out, and don't give up the fight.
Of course, never. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Amen. Thank you, Riley. And I want to thank each and every one of you out there listening. Thank you for tuning in. If you've enjoyed this episode, you can listen to more just like this. Head to our YouTube channel or visit us at bfapodcast.us. You can also listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, or by downloading our free AMAC News app. Don't forget to follow us wherever you are on social media. Until next time, I'm Rebecca Weber. This is your podcast, Better for America. Thanks for being here. God bless you. Have a wonderful evening.